Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Joy.
Hello.
It's it's Ben. Can you hear me okay?
Uh yeah, you're chopping up a little bit, but let's give it a try.
Technology is super fun, right?
Right, right.
But yeah, hopefully you can hear me okay. I actually was just giving you a ring. It looked like our team here had been given a notice. Might have been some issues with the bank. I see an auction posted, so I was supposed to reach out to you. Have you guys been made aware of that?
Yeah, we well aware of that, and we already took care of it. Thank you so much for the call. But we're
Yeah, of
all
course.
set.
Yeah, perfect. That's actually exactly what I'm calling. Most people that we work with, we're assigned to reach out to everyone in Dallas County here. So I just want to make sure, we can kind of show you all the options that we're supposed to present. You said that you got it all taken care of, so that's great. What was it that you guys ended up doing?
Yeah, my husband said that we're applying for something with the bank to have a loan. I'm not sure what's the exact terms, but they will approve it and we can stay in the house.
Awesome, awesome. And is he the one that kind of handles all that, or is it both of you guys on the loan?
Yeah, we both taking care of it, but he's much more financial wiser than me, so I give him to take care of that.
Okay, you got to give yourself some credit there. Come on. But yeah, it sounds like maybe a loan modification. Are you guys familiar with how that works?
Not really. I just know that the bank said that may be an option for us just to take another loan on the house, and then be able to stay in here.
Right, right. Yeah, it's a loan modification can be a good option for some people. It's a little bit unique. Not everyone gets approved for it, but it really just depends on the situation with the equity in the house, how much income is coming in. But are you guys both currently working, or what kind of led to the back payments?
Yeah, so I was laid off, and so my husband's business has been a little bit slow in the last couple of months, and so we had to skip a couple of payments. But we working with friends and family to collect the money, and the loan, as you say, modification, I think you call it, might be the answer to that.
Right, right. So kind of looking at options to maybe get friends to help pay it back, and then if it doesn't work, maybe do the modification.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we want to, we have like 5 or 6 different options we walk homeowners through to be transparent. A handful of them can be done to help stay the house or keep the house and stay in the home, and some are just backup plans to also get some cash out of it and get into a better payment or situation. It sounds like for you guys, you have a couple different things you're looking at, so that's good. But typically with modifications, yeah, it really just depends on the lender and what your income is. They kind of look at it like, do you remember whenever you qualified for the loan that you got?
I think we got it at like a really good rate relative to now, something in the 2% rate.
Okay, yeah, it's crazy back when the interest rates are that low. Have you guys owned the house for quite some time, or what year did you buy it?
Yeah, we've been here for 15 years.
Oh wow, just unpacking the bags.
Exactly.
There you go. Well, cool. Yeah, I mean, typically how a modification works, right, is the back payments they're going to try and put on the back of the loan, and they're going to see, okay, can we essentially get the homeowner qualified for this new payment? But the thing that a lot of our clients don't understand is if I'm putting this on the back, and the same company that's doing the foreclosure, that bank, is also the same company offering a modification. Typically, it's because they're going to collect a lot more money over time. So what they do is they spread out that loan. They increase the interest rates just because they're no longer 2%, and sometimes that payment increases quite a bit. But really, they're just collecting thousands of more dollars, like over the course of, you might have 15 years left on your note, but they're typically going to spread that out and then increase the payment so you can kind of pay back that debt. And then also they're going to collect more money over time, if that kind of makes sense. But as far as income wise, usually they want to see like 2 to 3 times the mortgage amount to get approved, similar to like whenever you got your loan initially. Do you guys know how far behind the payments? Is it like 5-6 months?
Well, I don't remember when was the last payment we made, to be honest.
Okay, gotcha. Is it the first time that this has happened, or did you guys modify it in the past?
Yeah, it's the first time.
Okay, gotcha. And I'm sorry to hear about all that and the job loss. And are you able to find work now, or are you still looking?
I'm still looking.
Okay, awesome. We always like to see if we can connect people, and help out in any way. But what kind of
So what other options do you guys offer? You mentioned
yeah, that's a good question. Typically, I like to walk people through each option just so you can see, hey, maybe there's something I was missing. The first thing would obviously be just catching up the back payments. It sounds kind of like the easy solution that maybe we would have thought of, but that's the quickest way, just reinstating the loan, right? So do you guys have any sort of like 401k or savings from either work?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we're working with friends and family to get the money that we owe.
Okay, so if anything, it'd be coming from like friends or family, not necessarily. I always like to ask if people had like a retirement account, because sometimes they can borrow from that. But is there no retirement accounts? It would just be like a friends and family type thing if they could loan it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, and obviously that's good if you got the friends and family, and I know it's hard to ask for that sometimes from friends or family, because that kind of comes with their opinions and everything like that. But so that would be the first option, reinstating the loan. The second we're kind of talking about, which would be the loan modification. Depends on the lender, really, how far the back payments are and what your income is. We just find a lot of people to get offered that, right? They have to at least provide that option most times. But what most people don't understand is after they fill out that big paperwork and you sign all the information, you send in your pay stubs. I don't know if you guys have done all that yet.
We just got the package, so we need to look at. Yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, they ask for all that info. They send it to them. Basically, it takes like 30-60 days typically. And then if they don't approve that, if the income's not big enough, then they kind of just decline the modification, right? And that's where we find a lot of people are left, even close to the foreclosure date, not getting approved. So typically that's why the incomes, they want to see current income in the past 6 months that's gonna, cover that payment. So I know you were looking for a job. As far as your husband's business, what kind of, is he bringing in like monthly income, or is it kind of fluctuate with that business?
Yeah, it fluctuates. He's in the tire business. He has a shop. And
Okay.
it's been kind of slow in the couple of months.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know. Being self-employed is a blessing and a curse sometimes. Being able to create your own income, but also having to withstand the roller coasters. So, but yeah, so when you send that, all those income and pay stubs to the lender, they typically want to see, consistent like W-2 or 1099 paychecks. So if there isn't active work on your end and the his is fluctuating, if it's not showing 2 to 3 times the mortgage amount, it can be really hard to get approved. Just because they're not going to give you a new payment and say, hey, if you're paying, I don't know, what's your monthly payment right now?
Something around 2,000 a month.
Okay. So if you're paying, let's say 2,000, after taxes, insurance, all that, and they're going to modify the loan. Let's say they're putting 15,000 of back payments on the back. They're going to try and collect some of that with extra interest and fees. So the payment might go up to 2,400, 2,600 sometimes. And basically they give you a trial payment. If you can't make those, then you fall back into foreclosure. So I guess if y'all's combined income isn't 2 to 3 times that amount, it's going to be a lot harder to get it approved. But do you think he's in that range, or where do you think he kind of falls?
Yeah, most definitely we're going to be in that range.
Okay.
But I'm just curious to hear what other options do you have?
Yeah, of course. So basically, I mean, there's things like bankruptcy. I don't know if you're familiar how that works. It's very similar to a loan modification, really, where it doesn't necessarily just stop a foreclosure. It's kind of like a repayment plan with any debts. So if you have credit card debt, car payments, anything like that, they're going to try and consolidate it to make a long payment plan. They're going to add on the attorney fees. So really, it's like paying $2,000 a month plus, another monthly payment on top of it for any of the other debt. And obviously not great on the credit, but it's something that some people look at, again, if they can cover a higher monthly payment and they're willing to do that for the next, 5 or 10 years. The problem is typically if they miss one payment, they fall back in the same spot. So that's another option. But really, those are kind of like the ways to kind of keep it, other than, getting gifts from family or friends or getting a personal loan, which can be hard when the credit's, down because of back payments. But I guess if you guys weren't able to get approved for a modification or bankruptcy type options, have you guys ever looked at a backup plan, or what you might be able to do after that?
I mean, we believe that either getting the money from our friends and family or getting the loan modification one of them will pan out.
Yeah, and I hope it does. Obviously, if you guys can maintain that payment and stop the foreclosure, then obviously that's a good option for you. I always like to tell people what I would recommend for my family and friends, because I know it's a tough spot, and a lot of people may not, there's a lot of emotions that go into it, right? You've been in the house for a while, and I just want to make sure you guys understand if it doesn't get approved, or if the payments aren't caught up, the bank will, foreclose. And obviously that's the worst case scenario. So our job is just to make sure, you don't fall into the worst case scenario, right? So I guess, if it didn't approve and if you weren't able to get the modification, have you guys had that conversation of what might be plan B?
I'm sure everything's gonna work out. We have good luck in our life. So I'm sure it's all gonna be all dandy and roses.
Yeah, and I pray that it does. That's the best attitude to have, right? I always just like to make sure you do have a plan B, right? Because we do see a lot of people get foreclosed on. Our company buys properties at auction sometimes, and it's just sad to see that at the foreclosure when we know we could have helped them beforehand. So our job, again, just to show you the options. And at the end of the day, you're in a pretty similar situation to Jenny, and one of the homeowners that we helped last month. She actually was going through a divorce, so not the same spot, but what happened was her double income turned into one. So that she no longer had the income from, her husband, and the monthly payment was just very tight. She was a teacher, and technically she could have probably made it work if she really, saved up and got some help from family and friends. But the biggest thing for her is she wasn't able to get approved in modification. And so, it was either try and get money from parents and kind of battle to make that monthly payment for the next 5 or 10 years, or get some money in her pocket, get out from under that debt, and just get into a lower monthly payment. And once she was able to see some of those options, that really took a lot of weight off her shoulders, just because she no longer had to be tied to this mortgage company and kind of be scrounging up that payment every single month. But yeah, for her, she'd been there like you for 15 years. So she was actually able to get some cash out of the property, with some creative solutions to try and sell it before the foreclosure and get some extra time in the house. And, she didn't really want to have to go that route, but, really just looking at that option. And after she could see, okay, I'm going to get this much money in my pocket, get some extra time, avoid the foreclosure, and really just get into a lower payment. It was something that she definitely at least wanted to consider as a backup plan. So that's kind of something that our team can do as well. Obviously, if you can get approved and you can make the payment, we don't want to push you to do something that's not going to be a good fit. But I also can't let you get foreclosed on and see that pop up on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I believe everything is going to be fine, and we're going to find a solution. But thank you for your time. I appreciate it. What's your name again?
I'm Ben.
Oh, okay, Ben. If you want to text me your number, I'll add it to my phone just in case. If
Absolutely.
that's okay by you.
Right. And you said that this is kind of like you and your husband handling it. So I'd be happy to chat with him too and kind of show him what those options are, so you at least have that plan in place. Does he typically work during the day or until the shop closes?
That's right. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for him, sounds like since he handles a little more of that, if he was able to see both of the options, just to make sure you guys have all the, you know, the plans in place, do you think that would be beneficial for him?
Let me talk to him, and I'll text you.
Of course. Yeah. And again, I just want to make sure you understand, like, at the end of the day, you guys are going to have the conversations together, right? I'm not here to, you know, my life doesn't change whether we buy your house or help you sell foreclosure or whatever it is, right? My job is just to show you the options and make sure you don't get foreclosed on. So save my number. I'd be happy to chat with your husband and, you know, at least give him the number so you guys can see what both of those options would look like. But what would be a good time you think to try and reach back out?
It's okay. I'll reach out to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Bye.
And have a good one. And that's,
I mean, there are those customers.
The customers that are very adamant like that. I personally would have said, hey, absolutely, I pray that you get that approved. You know, so you say you have good luck. I hope you do. But on the off chance that doesn't have that, you don't get approved, would it be crazy to see what cash offer might look like? And then that would trigger a no response. Like, no, it's not a crazy idea. Like, people want to say no. So if she keeps saying no, I would pose my question for her to say no. And then I'm aligning her to set myself up to get that cash offer. And that doesn't always work either. But I mean, I felt like that would have been a last ditch effort.
I almost never want to give someone an offer to until I've gotten them to the point where they understand, like, hey, I might need to sell. Because giving someone, especially when they've never registered in their head that they might need to sell, makes it very hard. Like, giving them any sort of number is just going to make them even more mad. Because
but actually, I was waiting for you to say what
That's
he
what I was
said,
going to
what
say.
Armando
Why didn't
said.
you give her the options? Why did you keep running from the options when she kept asking?
What did you say? Why did I keep running from options?
Yeah, I wanted like to hear what are the options, right?
Exactly.
Like the step 2, the cash.
Yeah.
There are options that we can buy your house. You don't need to go into the actual numbers, but they are there, right?
Yeah.
Something for you to consider, or even say, hey, you know, would it be crazy to think of a plan B just in case the loan modification doesn't go through? Because, you know, the foreclosure process go in the same time as you're applying for the loan, right? So the foreclosure doesn't stop.
Yeah. No, yeah. I try not to, those are good points for sure. I try not to go straight into, like, you want them to understand, and I probably could have done that better at the beginning too, that you can buy the house, but also, like, we're going to walk you through what you can do to keep it. And if not, we're going to show you what you can do to stay. I always tell people, like, hey, there's 3 options basically to keep it. There's like 3 to sell. And depending on what you can qualify for, we'll show you what your best option is. When people are very stubborn, like kind of how you are, like, hey, we have to figure out if I'm not going to sell, I'm really trying to walk them through in their head, like, a checklist of why the options to keep it may not work. And because the reality is they usually don't know how the modification works. They probably aren't going to get approved. And even if they do, they're going to be in a worse spot. Like, people that file modification of bankruptcy almost always fall back into foreclosure. So I kind of sit on that for a while and want to see if, like, a lot of times when you talk to someone that isn't as hard-headed yet, they'll say, okay, well, if I don't get approved, I'll probably just end up selling. I kind of want them to say it, because if they do say it, it becomes way more like doctrine in their head versus you telling them you should sell it. So I always start with them trying to say it, and then I go to the third-party story of someone else that was put in a better situation because they decided to sell. But yeah, I usually won't, like, I'll teeter on, like, the options of, okay, it could be a cash offer, it could be taking over your payments, or depending on the condition of the house, we could, you know, partner with you and fix it up and resell it on the market. But I also don't want to run too much in the numbers when they're haven't even opened up to the fact of, like, getting a cash offer. I just want them to know that we can buy the house, which I probably could have hammered on.
I would have liked to have heard you pivot. I'm sorry.
In Ben's defense, he did ask you, Joy, what your backup plan would be, and you were so adamant on, we have good luck, we'll get it approved. So he did set himself up to pitch a cash offer or another offer, but because you deflected that way, Ben's trying to get you to, you want them to come to the realization that they need to sell, not you telling them they need to sell.
Yeah. What were you saying, Shingo?
I wanted to hear though, because in her defense, she asked twice for the options. And then we just went deeper into what one option was. So the first one was more about the loan modification. And then the second one was the bankruptcy. And then you went deep into explaining the bankruptcy after she asked you about it. But I wanted to know how you would have pivoted to then have made yourself go from, hey, you're assigned to these leads to make sure homeowners know these options, to, hey, we're also buyers for these homeowners. Because that's where my bottleneck is, okay? I've entered in as a solution. Now, how do I come out and say, haha, I am the solution, you know, like I wanted to hear, how do you, you know what I'm saying? How do you Euro step through that? You know what I'm saying? Because you just called and was like, that's my job, is to make sure homeowners know all the solutions and I'm putting it in front of them. And then now it's like, say, for instance, she's like, well, yeah, I think that's probably the best option. Well, how do you now make yourself that buyer, you know? That was what I would like to see.
I typically would explain it a little better, and this is what a lot of investors, and even I did a little bit poorly on that call, is like acting like they're only there to show options and help, which is why you are. But whenever you're on the phone, typically, or on the door, people want to know who you are and what you're doing. So like being more clear and direct, honestly, helps a lot. Like, hey, you got it figured out. That's great. We talk to a lot of people, and my job is pretty simple. We're basically real estate consultants and have a real estate department. Part of that is helping people through probate, divorce, pre-foreclosure, and some of the options to avoid that. The other part is that we buy homes, and sometimes people actually need to sell it if they can't qualify to stay. And so what we do is we really walk you through the 6 or 7 options, and depending on what you qualify for, you at least have all of it, available to you. So making them know from the beginning, like, look, we're going to walk you through what you can do, but we also have a real estate department, and our underwriters, I always like try to put it to someone else. Like, I'm here to figure out on your team what you need to do, but our underwriters can give you 3 options to sell. And it's a little more creative than just your typical sale of a house because of the situation that you're in. So, I mean, I think making it more clear at the beginning is like, what's in it for us? Like, we're not going to buy every house because we can't even, our underwriters aren't going to approve an offer for every property. So like, if they're like, oh, you just want to buy my house, but like, honestly, we may not even be able to. Like, and that way you're not just throwing your money at everyone. It's just like, I'm literally here to present you these options, and whether that's you get approved to stay, that's great. If not, we're going to show you what it looks like to sell.
And every phone call is different. Like, I don't go about it the same way every time. It kind of depends on the person. So like, sometimes at the start of the call, I'll be like, hey, like, we have kind of 2 sides of our business. We talk to homeowners all over, X state, go through different options. Every situation is different. So some options don't work. Sometimes they do. So that's one side of our business. The other side is we do buy houses. Like, we'll buy houses that are vacant. They're going through probate, whatever it is. We don't buy every house that we come across, but we can't help with that. It's like when we talk to homeowners facing situations like this, depending on what they want to do, what their goal is, like, we can kind of help on both sides. And then Shango, to answer your question, and I don't say that every time, it kind of just depends on the phone call. Right.
There's an easier way to be like, but like, can you catch me at the speed a little bit? What's your goal?
Yeah. So I always try to figure out what they want to accomplish. It's usually one of 3 things. It's, I want to stay in the house longer. I don't know where I'm going to live. So they want to know where they're going to go, or price. So if you can get one of those 3 down, then you don't really need to negotiate anything else. Like, people like, oh, I still know where I'm going to live. That's their biggest concern. Then you can probably make any number work. Obviously, you want to get them money. The transition that you were talking about, Shango, what I usually do is, like, on that call that you just did right there, there's a few different ways you can go about it. I think the way that you went about it is fine. There's just, you talk to sellers that don't want to kind of go over things. But if you're looking for a transition, you can just like go straight to the point and be like, hey, look, like, sometimes people just want to get out from underneath the lender. Like they just don't want to deal with them anymore. And you're bringing up selling without saying sale. And a lot of people hate the lender, obviously, because they've been dealing with them. They're foreclosing on the house. So if you could bring up like, hey, like, would you be opposed to just getting out from underneath the debt, not having to deal with the lender anymore? And most people would be like, no, like definitely not opposed. And they just admitted right there that they would be open to selling by you telling them like you can get away from the person or the entity that's causing you all this trouble.
Yeah.
I
They might-
love it. Thank you. I appreciate that. That it clicked for me. And the way both of you explained it, it clicked for me. Like I had to hear it, and I'm like, oh my God, that's what I'm missing. And that's really where I struggle. It's like, are you here to help or are you here to buy? You just lied to me, and I hate feeling deceitful. So
yeah, and I feel that too. Like on a lot of those calls, the way that I like to do it is basically that is just getting them to like admit that they would be okay with getting out from underneath the debt, starting clean, like. Because a lot of times, like they think they don't want to sell, but then they hear like, oh, I can get away from PHH or Carrington or whoever's causing me all these issues. Like, hell yeah, I'll do that.
Also, just addressing the elephant in the room is what no one else is doing. So although it's uncomfortable, they respect it more in a way than every person that, oh, I'm just here to help. Hey, what are your options? What are your options? Like, yeah, you gotta walk that line. But like when they're coming out hot, like, oh, you're just trying to buy your house, and be like, oh, is that what I like? Flip it back on them. It's kind of like when people in door to door, like, oh, you're just soliciting. I'll be like, oh, do you guys get a lot of door knockers? Like, dang, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sure you're getting like blown up on the phone. And like, no, and to be transparent, like we have two sides to our business. Like we can show you what you can do to keep it. There's about 3 to 4 ways to get qualified for that. And then we do have a real estate department that can buy houses if you can't qualify. My goal is not to buy every house because we may not even be able to. I don't know if it's going to get approved for an offer. So that's not what I'm here to just hop on the phone for. But it sounds like that's what everyone's reaching out to, is everyone just trying to give you like a cash offer. And I just asked the question. But if you like hammer it and kind of address the elephant and then ask a question, they'll be like, oh yeah, like and everyone's calling me. They're just trying to steal my house. Or, well, what are the other 3 options?
You're obviously there to help people. Sometimes, or a lot of times, the help is like getting to the point of like, the best thing to do, and you need them to realize that, but like the best thing to do is to sell. Like getting a loan mod for a lot of people is not helpful. Like it's hurting them. They lose equity. They get a payment that's even more expensive from a payment they can't already afford. So like telling someone to do a loan mod when it's not what they should do, it's not going to help them, is not very helpful.
And I want to add that the other thing is like, follow-up is very important, because unfortunately there are calls like that where you're just not going to get through to that person on the first time. They might need to speak to like 10 other people, be told the same thing before they come to the realization like, okay, maybe I do need to sell. Because I believe with pre-foreclosures, it's right place, right time. You don't know who's been before you or what state of mind they're in at the time you're speaking to them.
And people make decisions at the very start or the very end. You'll get a ton of deals from the very end, which is a little bit of a pain in the butt, because then you got to figure out how to close super fast or delay it or something. But most people won't make a decision until that last week or days before, because it'll finally hit them. One thing when you're transitioning, what I kind of just talked about, of once they admit like, hey, I would not be opposed to like getting out from underneath the debt. The way to transition that into getting something sent over is like, great, like, you know, I hear you, whatever, like, let me do this, and I'll send them over a purchase agreement while I have them on the phone, be like, hey, like, that's great. You know what we can do is we can take a look at this and see how that would work. And then you kind of just.
I put one caveat on that though, is the moment that people realize they need to sell, you can't be the motivated buyer now.
Yeah.
Because it's just like if you have given someone a piece of candy and you take it right back, like they want it more. And so like, if someone's like, okay, I want to sell the house, or I want to look at selling the house, then I would be like, hey, like transparently, like, I don't know if we can even get you approved with an offer, but I can give all the info to my underwriters and kind of see what options would make sense if possible. And then that way you're like, also, okay, let's figure out how far behind you are on the payments. What do you owe on the house?
Yeah,
What's the condition of it?
I left out quite a bit there. I was kind of more so saying if you already have all of that,
Yeah.
no, because you would go over that beforehand. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that I also need to work on too. 'Cause I wouldn't say I'm motivated. I just don't want to seem like, I'm lazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to move quickly, but I get it. Like I sometimes question myself, like, what did I say wrong? Like I did everything, but they went with someone else. And it's like probably because when you said you wanted to sell, that's what I heard. And I'm like, all right, let's get this ball rolling. And it's like instead, I know how to be nonchalant in life. In business, it's something I have to work on. But that's what it seems like. I'm playing a mental game with you. Like, oh yeah, let me get this over to underwriting, which is me.
Yeah.
Oh my
You
God.
can do all the.
I don't do the underwriting stuff on pre-foreclosure calls.
I mean, if you get them to the point of, in general, I think it's always valuable because you don't have to be the bad guy. And so like, I press the urgency heavy. Like, look, like selling is realistically the best way to get out from under the debt. But the biggest thing is the timing, right? You're 30 or 40, or even if they're 60 days away. Like when you're behind on payments, we're gonna have to get payoffs from the mortgage company. We're gonna have to make sure all the title's clear, make sure there's no other liens. That stuff takes time. And then I'll flip it on them like, hey, you probably remember when you bought your house, the moment you started the agreement to when you closed took at least a month, even though we can close in like 10 days, but like you need some time to make sure the title's clear and see what their payoff is. So like I press the urgency with title work very heavy and be like, hey, if you reach back out in 10, 5, whatever days or a week before foreclosure, like there's not much we're going to be able to do. We're going to have to look at this right now. So let me talk to her, let me get all that info and then talk to my underwriters. I'll literally put them on, if I'm making an offer and it's a hot lead, like I'll put them on pause to talk to our underwriters. And it just kind of like uses that as they're the bad guy and you're trying to see what option makes the most sense for them.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, cool. I know that's a whirlwind. It's like it's so much psychology talking to foreclosures and
not everything's the same.
Yeah.
Every conversation is different every single time.
Every lead is so different, but the biggest thing I think that made me get more deals and like realize what's more important is like, don't sound like every other person. Be like comfortable addressing the elephant in the room, and also just making a friend, like making them laugh, making them trust you, understanding that you're credible and understand the process. Like just me talking about loan modifications or bankruptcies or whatever, like understanding that makes them feel comfortable going with you versus like someone else that seems like they've never done it before. So being educated on it and then understanding that like we can buy your house, but we don't have to. Like if you're not willing to get helped, no one can help you. So just addressing the elephant in the room could be powerful. Any other questions while we have some people on here before we hop off?
On one of your YouTube videos, someone commented and said, I see you're following a Emmett something style door market. So I did some research and it sounds like that's some type of door-to-door solar system sales or something like that. Is that what you use to implement into pre-foreclosure door knocking? Like something that you did like a previous business that you worked for?
You said we follow what?
So in your most recent video that I seen, a woman commented and said they're using, I forgot the name of the brand or whatever, but I did some research and it sounds like it's like a solar system door, door-to-door sales. And you responded, one of you responded and said, we whatever. But anywho, I really like the actual way that you approached it, the way you backed off, put your back to the wall, leaned up against it a little bit. It was just so standoffish. But anywho, I want to know, is that kind of how you're able to go into it, so calm, and the way you kind of like are able to flow so easily? Because the whole dynamic from the video was just so impressive from how you were able to transition from someone not even opening the door all the way for you to being in this woman's house. And I just wanted to ask that kind of, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but that, I study y'all, so I'm just asking. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. That's all stuff that I learned in door-to-door sales that is great on the phone, but especially on the doors. Is like so many people are so direct and confrontational. They're facing them like people mirror your body language if they're comfortable, and you know you're more nonchalant. Like you can get them outside of the house. But yeah, to answer your question, I think on the YouTube video, yeah, I mean all of that same technique or building rapport and all that I learned from selling solar and security systems door to door. I don't remember exactly which video you're talking about, but sometimes I'd mention that because I have a bunch of friends that are still selling. So like, it was probably the guy maybe that was like, hey, I think he thought we were selling solar, or sometimes people think that, and I'll be like, hey, I'm not the solar guy. Like I'm not actually here selling you anything, but what I'm doing is really important. And like trying to get them outside. Like I always want them to get like outside the door and actually talk to me. If someone's like cracked on the door, they're not gonna make a decision. So I always just kind of like, oh, like just stand back on the wall, be casual, like, yeah, can you just come out here real quick and I can chat with you. So I just like try to get them to open up more.
Yeah.
But
I liked it.
But
It
yeah,
was
you
really
can-
good. You did a really
they're
good job.
usually gonna get knocked somewhere by pest control, solar, or whatever. So like if that can be some homeowner's natural thought, is that you're just another salesman.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. That was my only question. Thank you, guys.
Of course. All righty. Thanks for coming on. If y'all had any more questions or got any value from it, drop it in the group and I'll send some stuff too. We have a lot of like YouTube videos that break down calls like this, and we'll keep doing role plays if you guys thought this was valuable. So just shoot it in the Skool group and we will see you next Wednesday. Have a good week.